When I was a little boy living in Florida, one morning I happened to go outside and there was this cocoon hanging from a tree. And I was drawn to it and I noticed that a butterfly was starting to come out. And it got my attention, so I came over closer to it and I saw it was really struggling and I thought, ooh, this guy needs help. So I went over and I opened up the bottom up just a little bit. And it wasn't too much longer, and the butterfly fell on the ground and died. I was heartbroken. I thought, did I do this? Did my wanting to help interfere? Only to later on read upon the subject and come to discover, yes, I did interfere. Because in order for the butterfly to have strength to fly, it has to have that struggle to develop that strength so that then it can be a butterfly. So needless to say, from then on, I watched, but I did not interfere. We look at what's happening in our lives right now, and we see that things are definitely changing. You might say from a perspective, they are what we knew, and perhaps even what we held to be true, valuable, and important, is all coming apart. Khalil Gibran has always been a favorite source for me in my reading as I have gone through different periods of my life. One of the things that he said that stuck with me is, out of the suffering have emerged the strongest souls. The most massive characters are seared with scars. And yet we as human beings, we find that we want to shrink away from suffering. Pass me by. Go to somebody else. And looking at it more deeply, you see that the prospect of change is avoided, it's resisted, and because it's unknown territory. And because it is, we fear it. And most of the time we don't even realize the part of us who is afraid. We just make the assumption, well, that must be me. That's who I am. In the modern world in which we live, we find that the focus is toward egocentricity, not soul. We are ego-oriented. We are not soul-oriented. But what is happening right now is there is this struggle, this shift that's taking place within humanity. And most of the time we don't even realize what it is when it first starts. As a matter of fact, we don't want to know what it is. We want to avoid it. But again, the struggle of humans is for us to consciously grow into our divine potential. To consciously wake up and begin to look at ourselves and look at our lives and realize that becoming aware is a challenge. And it causes us to deeply recognize we have a sense of incompletion that's trying to get our attention. You might could even say that becoming aware is incomplete and inaccurate when you get to the place of recognizing you are awareness. You begin to see that being aware and becoming aware are two completely different considerations. But the first part, of course, you might say is the initial challenge, in that we begin to open up and honestly admit that there are things that are missing that we don't know where to look for or how to find. So we begin to see that this is a part of disintegration. How do we take it and have it be positive? So one of the first things is to admit it's happening. The next thing to do is to see all of the things that I am avoiding, all of the things that I am resisting, are things that I need to address, that I need to come to a place of accepting are in my life, so that I then in myself am the one who becomes positive instead of negatively resisting. We're on a path. You might say it's a path of initiation. And in this, if we open ourselves and admit that it is so, then we're beginning to allow the disintegration of the way things used to be to occur, and we are in at least flow with it, if not complete harmony, to where we no longer are standing in our own way. Because certainly, as you wake up, you start realizing that you don't get the same excitement out of things that you used to. As a matter of fact, the things that used to excite you don't have it anymore. There's something that's happening. With the things out there? No, it's going on. All you have to do is look. It's happening all around you. You'll notice also the urge inside of you that says, oh, no, 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 you can't go there. You can't change. But it's a matter of coming to a place of seeing that is the old way of which my heart is not embracing anymore. So positive at first might seem like resignation to the way things are happening. But it really is a stage of acceptance that this is occurring. And realizing that this tension, this anxiety, this disappointment, this suffering is all a part of this positive disintegration. And it is in a process of spiritual and psychological maturing. I used to wonder at times when I was moving along in my life and saying, okay, this I see is what I feel I have been called to do, to in some way help others help themselves. I used to wonder, is this it? Of course, the wondering only occurred as I got more honest with myself. Before I was convinced it was it. But as I became honest, then I began to feel the doubt in myself so far as everything that I was embracing, because it was so heavy at times. Trying to hang on to this, trying to hold on to that, trying to say that this is the path of enlightenment. Part of this positive disintegration is a letting go. But you have to be clear in yourself and open in yourself to determine what it is to let go. And is this going to be something that you do with ease and without any mistakes? Absolutely, positively not. So cut yourself a little slack and realize that if you find yourself listening to that inner voice in you that says you are in a process of awakening, to realize that some of the things that are going to disintegrate, there'll be a struggle with in yourself, because there will be that part of you who does not want to let it go. But if you listen, you're going to hear another voice in you say, I have a craving for a loss of something intangible. I have a longing for a distant place. I want to return home. I want to feel at ease in myself, being myself and being in my life. So we begin to acknowledge ourselves and embrace ourselves, and then look out through our eyes with this awakening awareness of who we are, so that we can choose to be in the moment, present with the moment. And in that way, we're learning to apply one of the primary fundamentals of life. And that really is being here now. Struggle? Yes. Will the head like it? No. Will the ego like it? Absolutely, positively not. You might say that this is an ego death that you're participating in, whereby you shed the ego that prevents you from embodying your soul. So it is a positive if you can come to a place of seeing that it's happening in you, to you, and it's not an accident. I used to wonder sometimes, like this morning, what's going on here? What's the delay? And then I looked again and I thought, wait a minute. I'm the one who's resisting. Life has its flow. Let me relax myself and become a part of the flow so that I can then move with it instead of finding myself moving against it. There's a greater part of us that oftentimes we look for out there, because there's a part of us who realizes out there is filled with space, and the space is intelligent. But this intelligent space is always reflecting back to us our recognition of who we are. If we can open up to that, then we can enter into an agreement in ourselves to where, yes, this is coming apart. Yes, this is where my life is right now. I came here into this incarnation when everything is going to hell in a handbasket. The handbasket even has holes in it. That's a good thing. But sometimes it's not always easy to embrace until you put the positive twist into it and realize all is well and it is working together for good. So I want to thank you very much for your attention. May in some way this help you help yourself in what is occurring in your life. Thank you. For more information about the Metaphysical Church of Enlightenment or the Rodin Foundation, please go to our website at www.rodin.org. If you have been inspired by the revelations shared in these podcasts, please donate to the Rodin Foundation's ongoing efforts to help others help themselves at www.rodin.org/donate.